Hello and welcome to today's video on our 10 days Power BI Hackathon Challenge or project in Power BI on this particular channel. Okay, and so in today's video we are working on the HR gender diversity and equality analysis or data set. All right, and in this particular video we are sitting in, or our company is conducting an internal review of its gender representation, pay equity, the workforce distribution, performance outcomes, and employee satisfaction. And the leadership of our company wants to understand whether HR policies are effectively supporting diversity, preventing biases, and promoting equal opportunities across branches, departments, and job roles. All right, and so this is the brief idea or brief description of what today's entire project is all going to be about. All right, and so what is our role for this project? So the role that we are to play for this project is that we are supposed to sit in as data or business analysts, all right, and then analyze this workforce data set. Okay, our goal ideally is to uncover gender representation gaps, pay inequalities, risk performance patterns, promotion and managerial dynamics, satisfaction trends, branch and department workforce distribution, potential HR risk, that is the turnover, the pay discrimination, and low satisfaction, all right, for this particular company. Okay, and so in view of this, we are given these business questions to answer and help the company make effective decisions. Okay, and so these questions spans across, and we have some like the management wanted to find the overall gender distribution in the company, the branches which have the highest and lowest female representatives, how gender distribution varies by departments, all right, and then we continue by looking at whether women are underrepresented in managerial roles, whether certain job titles are more dominated by maybe males or females, or what the average salary for male versus female is. Also, we will be looking at whether there is a gender pay gap within the same job or titles, or whether percentage of managers or females are a little on the female side or on the male side. Okay, then we're also going to look at whether males or females receive higher performance ratings, what is the distribution of employee satisfaction by the gender, department, and branch, and whether there's a relationship between the satisfaction rate and the salary. Also, whether younger or older employees are more satisfied. So we'll be looking at this as well, and also which gender has higher turnover pattern. So we'll be working on the turnover rate. All right, so churn. So are people staying or leaving? All right. So we'll look at that, and we also look at whether high performing or highly paid employees are also leaving. And then the last question is going to be based on whether the turnover varies significantly by branch or by department. All right. And so in today's challenge, or in today's hackathon project, this is what we are going to be looking at in its entirety. And so if you are ready, we are going to jump right in and start answering this question, making sense out of this particular data set. All right. And at the end, I'm sure you are going to be really excited that we tackle this project. Now, before I continue, I just want to say, hey, be sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe if this is something that you're interested in, this is something that you'd like to get to know on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, all right? Because this is why I'm here for you guys, to let you know what data analytics is about and the tools that are important to powering your work as a data analyst, all right? So without much ado, let's jump right in. All right. So for this particular project, this is going to be the final work, all right, that we are going to be seeing. It might probably shift, all right, but will be a little different depending on what we are doing and what we want to add. Like you know, I always tell you guys that when it comes to projects like this, you don't necessarily have to do it exactly how the person is doing it. You don't need to copy it, all right. You need to add your own thing to it, all right. So you are able to say that indeed this particular project you were guided by this project you actually put in your best because you added something to the project, all right. And so I like to add a few things along the way to you know confuse you a little bit and to see if you can actually get back on track, all right. And so without much ado, we'll be jumping right in and we'll start doing our work. Obviously we'll be using this as a guide, all right. So there's a page one and the page two, and we'll be using this as a guide, all right. But we are not going to be focusing so much on it. We are just making sure that we are going according to trend, all right. Okay. And so without much ado, we will delve right back in. Now, I already have my design background, all right, already prepared in PowerPoint, like you know by now. So I've prepared my design background in PowerPoint, all right, and I'll be leaving this in the description box below alongside the dataset itself, and so you can just go in there, download the dataset, download the background. The background is in PowerPoint, so you can maybe do a little changes on your own. All right, do some few changes so that you can say that all right, so at least you added this to it. Okay, and so without much ado, we'll be diving right in and we'll be starting our work. So now that we are in here, I'm going to set up my design background or my background page for this particular project. And like I've said, I already have everything sorted out. So I'm simply going to go to this page, go to my canvas background, and then I go to browse so that I can select my design background. All right. So once I come here, I'm going to go to my design background. So this is where I've saved mine. So I don't know where you are going to save yours. All right, but that is fine. And so HR equality. So once you've saved it, or once you've gone to pick it up, all you need to do is you need to now reduce the transparency, and voila, you have it here. And so since there are two pages, I'm going to open the second page and I'm going to do the exact same thing. All right. And so I'm going to come down to my browse, and then for the second one, HR equality, that's how I saved my picture. All right, and where I've saved mine. Okay, so I'm just going to go right in there, like this, and then voila. So now we have our design backgrounds set and we are ready to go. Okay, so we have the design background set and we are ready to go. Now when it comes to this particular data set, there are a number of things. I did so many measures. All right, I created so many measures and we have all of them here, so you can see, and these measures were important in solving the questions. All right, and so once we get to any one of them, I'll let you know how I did it. The DAX measures that I use, you can copy them. If you are not so conversant with them, you can copy, but then you make sure you learn the measures, all right, to understand them. I'll probably briefly explain the measures a little bit, those that are a bit complicated, right, for you to understand before we jump in. All right, and so yeah, these are my measures. I've already created my measures and everything. You can see everything right here. Okay, and so yeah, let's jump right in. So starting off, we'll be starting with the first question, which is the business questions to answer. And the first one is saying that what is the overall gender distribution in the company? So the overall gender distribution in the company. And so what this simply means is that they want to know the overall males and females in the company. All right. So they want to know the males in the company and they want to know the females in the company. Now with this, you can decide to use cars to show them, but I decided not to use cars to show them in this particular case. All right, but you can just use cars, all right, to show them. And so how do you find the total males and then the total females? All right, so in order to find the total males and the total females, you first need to know how many total employees are in this particular data set. All right, and so if you come right here, all right, we have the employee ID. Okay, and so we'll be counting the employee IDs. And so if you look down here below, there are 694 rows. That means there are 694 columns. Okay, 694 employees in this particular data set. You can see it right there, but not a lot of people know this, so it's important that you also do what, you also use a measure to show this. Okay, and so the measure that I use, total employee, is right here. So this is it. Total employee. So I use the count. All right, so we are counting all the employee ID records, and so count the HR, gender diversity and equality, that's the data set, and then the column is the employee ID column. And so that is how we do it. That is how I found the total employees, all right, using DAX. And so if I'm to select this and to show you this, you can see this is 694, exactly how Power BI also showed. Okay, and so this 694 is for the total employees, but in this particular case, the question is asking for the overall gender distribution. So they want the total employees by gender, by males and females. So they want to know the total males and the total females in this particular case. But like I said, the first thing is still to know the total employees, because we are going to be using the total employees to find the totals of those who are just females and the totals of those who are just males. All right. And so how do we do this? And so to find the females only, this is a formula, or this is a measure function that you use. All right. And so I'm going to say for females only, we are going to calculate based on the total employee. And that's why it's important to get to total employees, because if you don't have your total employees, then you cannot find for females or for males only. All right, and so this is a measure that I use to find the females only. So I said calculate the total employee, and we are filtering, all right, by the gender, and we only need female. All right, so you can easily just copy this and use, and then as time goes on, you get used to it. All right, with DAX, you don't necessarily have to know everything first, but as time goes on, you get used to it. And so this is how we got our females only. Okay, and so I'm going to select my females only, And if you use the card, you can see that the females only are 312. So there are 312 females in this particular data set. But in this case, I'm not using the card, I'm using the donut chart to show this. Okay, and so I'm using the donut chart to show this, and I'm going to bring this right here. All right, and now we can just go in and start doing our formatting. Okay, and so this is our total females. If you bring this here, you can see the total females is 312. All right, so that answers the question. And so in order to so in formatting, we can just go in and format this. And for the slicer, for all of the slices, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this females only, and the color that I want this. All right, and so this is my color. And now for the detail labels, so the labels, all right, we are going to go in and format the values. All right, so I'm going to format the values. So I'm going to make this bold. All right, and then let's increase this a little bit. All right, so turn it up. That's what I actually want to see, and then we can make this white. Okay, and then now we can go in and work on the title. So females only, so females, so I can just clear this only and make it females. All right, depending on you, you can also do it however you want. All right, so we bolded this, we do this, and now the color, the text color, we are going to make it white. All right, now you can make it any color of your choice. That's fine by me. Okay, so now we are done with that. We're done with the title. We are going to go to effects and remove all effects. All right, so that we can now just have this. All right, so this is for females. Okay, hold on. So we have our females, and so now we need to look for the males. And so for the males as well, I use the same format. So most only, we are going to see the calculate total employee, all of that. We are filtering by the gender, and we want the male, so you can see that also as well. All right, so now I'm going to just select this. Okay, and then I'm going to use my donut chart. So now I can just click on this, come to format paint, because I want the exact same thing. And then from here we can just go in and change the slicer color from blue. All right, from blue to this color as well. All right, and now we can just carry this, and we can come here and deliver this right over here. Okay, so now we are done with this. So we know there are some few spaces, so we can stretch it out a little bit. All right, so we can stretch it out a little bit. Okay, so stretch it out a little bit. All right, so now that we are done with this, you can just leave it like this, or you can add a little bit of something to make this even more interesting. And what I did was that I used pictures to represent females and males. All right, so I already downloaded my pictures. If you don't know, you can just go in there and also download pictures as well. All right, you can download pictures of males and females. It really doesn't matter. All right, and so once you are done, you come to style, and then you are going to go to browse, and I'm going to go to where my pictures are, and I'm going to select the females. Okay, so I have for female, and I can also go and select and then get my male. Okay, and so I'm going to go in there, go to image. All right, browse, and I'm going to get the pictures for the males. All right, and I have the pictures for my males. So now that I have this, what I can simply do is that I can just reduce this, the size a little bit, bring it up here, and bring this right here. So that's for my males. All right, so for my males, so yeah, like so my males. And then for the females as well, I can just so we reduce the size also a little bit, and now we can just pick this. Okay, so now that we are done, we can just pick this, and we can position this right over here, and voila. So we are done solving the first question, which is the total males and females. So now we can say that for males, the total males is how many? 382 males, and then for females we have 312 males. All right, and so that is that for the first question, which is to find the overall gender distribution in the company. All right, and so to find the overall gender distribution, we've separated them into males and females for the company. Okay, and so now we'll be moving on to which branches have the highest and lowest female representatives. Okay, so let's go in and do that as well. So we are going to go in here. All right, so since we are just looking for the number of females per branch, all right, just as the question is saying, let's go back to the question again. So which branches have the highest and lowest female representatives? All right, so which branches have the highest and female representatives? So we are just looking at females only, And so like so, we already created our females only. Okay, so I'm going to come here and choose my females only, and now we are looking at the branches. All right, so how many branches do we have? So let's check that out. So we have 3 branches. We have Bono, Aries, we have Lima, and then we have this. So these are our branches. All right, these are the 3 branches that we have. So we are going to come right here. Okay, so now we have, these are the 3 branches. All right, so as you can see, again, it's Buenos Aires, Lima, and Montevideo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the names right or the branches correctly. Kindly forgive me. And so now that we have this, we are just going to bring this up here. All right, we're going to bring this up here, and we are going to start formatting this. All right, to make it look appealing. Okay, so I'm going to go right in here, and I'm going to say for my x-axis, I'll probably just use the values, right? And so for the values, I'm going to leave them as they are. Okay, and then I'm going to remove the title, alright, because I wouldn't be needing the title. It's taking up so much space. So we take the title out, and then for the y-axis, we're actually going to remove every single thing, alright, so that we can have enough space, okay, to do what we want to do. Okay, so now that I've done that, let's see if there are any grid lines. I think there are no grid lines, and that's fine. So we can use the zoom slider, alright, we can use the zoom slider, sorry, but we can change the color of this, alright, so this is what we want. Okay, alright, and then now we can come right down here. Let's see if we can add some data labels. So we can indeed add some data labels. So I add them. I like to add data labels because they make it easier to just see the values at first glance. All right, yeah, that is why a lot of the time you see me adding data labels, because they help you to just see everything at first glance. All right, so we've added the data labels, and that should be that. So now I can come here, and I'm just going to say females by branch. All right, so we can just take this out. So it's a females by branch, and we are going to reduce the size of that a little bit, and this is going to be white, and now we can align this in the middle. Okay, all right, so once we are done with this, all we need to do is come to effect and remove the entire effect, so that now we can have just this. All right, and so this is for the females by branch. All right, so we've answered this particular question as well, which is asking us which branches have the highest and lowest female representatives. And so looking at this, you can say that, all right, so Buenos Aires has the highest female representatives, all right, whereas this particular Montevideo has the lowest female representatives in that particular branch. All right, and so that is how that is solved. Simple and straight to the point. Now the third question says, how does gender distribution vary by department? So we are supposed to go in and see gender distribution by department. All right, okay, so now let's go in there and check that out. Okay, and so to find the gender distribution by department, all right, so that means we are looking for the total number of people, males and females, by each department. All right, so that's what it simply means. All right, so the total number of people by department. So I'm going to select my department column. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 departments, and then I'm selecting gender because I'm looking for males and females in each department. All right, so males and females in each department, and then we are looking for the total employees, so the total number of people. All right, and so now that I have that, I'll be using this to illustrate that. Okay, so I'll be using this to illustrate that. Okay, so we have this, and we can simply just go right in and start doing some formatting. Okay, I want to be sure that this is not too big, and let's stretch it out a little bit. All right, so now we can just go in there and do some formatting, and for our y-axis, which is this, we want the items, the values. All right, but we don't want the title. Again, of course, we don't want the title, so I'll be going right in there to take the title off. All right, and so that is that. And then for the x-axis, which is what is down, we actually don't want anything when it comes to using this visualization. All right, and so we are going to clear everything out of the way. Okay, and now we are going to continue with our formatting and see if using females, I don't want anything. All right, we can just take it out, we can just check. All right, and then let's look at grid lines. I don't think there are any grid lines in this one, and we can add a little bit of zoom slider. Okay, so now the bars are this thing showing the results. Okay, so you can format that, and I'm going to say for females, I want the color to be white, because yeah, of course, why not, they are girls. And then for males, I want the color to be this. Someone might say, why didn't I just use the white? But I mean, come on, it really doesn't matter. Then for the data labels, you are going to leave them in there. All right, and let's maybe bolden them a little bit for the data labels. All right, and so I'm going to go to values for data labels. Okay, so values for data labels, and all right, so values for data labels, and we are just going to make this bold. All right, and yeah, let's just make it bold, and I'm going to leave it just as it is. All right, and so now that I'm done with that, I can just go to my title. So total employee by department and gender, I think that is fine. So I'm going to stay with this same heading. All right, and then I'm going to make this bold, reduce this a little bit, and for the title, I think I'll still go with white. Looks like that's fine. Okay, and then we are going to put this right here in the middle. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then we are going to remove all the effects. All right, so that now we just have this. Okay, so this looks cool, right? This looks cool if you ask me. So this looks cool. All right, and so now we are done with this question as well. We are down with the third question, which is how does gender distribution vary by department? Okay, so if I come here, I'm going to say for the production department, females are actually totaling a number of 219. All right, whereas for males, there are 229 people. All right, in this particular department. Okay, and then with IT and IS, the females are around 59, then males are around 77. And then sales, we have 22 females, and then we have 45 males. And then administration, we have 12 females, and then we have 15 males, and then so on and so forth. But in Z management, the total is just 16, and they are all males. Okay, all right. So let me do a little bit of adjustments to the heading. I think the heading was not aligned properly, so I'm going to align it properly. All right, like so. So that is fine. So now we are done with this question, and this question. All right, so now let's continue. So the fourth question, or what we are looking for, is are women underrepresented in the managerial roles? So are women underrepresented managerial roles? And so with this, we simply just want to know how many females are occupying managerial roles. All right, how many females are occupying managerial roles, as opposed to how many of them are not occupying managerial roles. Okay, that is simply what we are looking for. And with this, what we can do is that we can simply use this that we've created, all right, this feature that we've created, to find those females who are in managerial roles, all right, so that we can say this is a total female, but a portion of these people are in managerial roles, whereas the other number are not in managerial roles. All right, and so in order to do this, how do you first need to find the females who are in managerial roles? Okay, and so with that, I also created a measure over here for it, so you can see female managers. Okay, and so if I click on this is a formula. We still again use the calculate, and I said so for female managers equal to, we are going to say calculate females only, because we are looking at the females only. All right, we are looking at the females only measure. All right, we are not looking at the entire measure, we're looking at just the female only measures, and we've already created. Okay, so since we have a measure for females only, which I showed, because that's how we got this one. All right, that's how we got this. Okay, so we have a measure for females only. Now we are going to just go ahead and say that, all right, now we are filtering with whether the person has a managerial position. So there's a column called manager, Y or N. All right, so it's either manager, the person is a manager, yes or no. All right, and so what I'm simply saying is that female managers, I'm calculating, or I'm looking for the entire female section. All right, but I want those that are managers. All right, so if the people are managers, then I want to say yes. So I want those that their managerial status is yes. I want those particular people out of this equation. All right, because those are the ones I'm looking for. All right, and so this is the formula or the measure that I used, and so I got this. So this was it. So if I'm to use a card, you can say that, all right, so there are 19 female managers. So out of the 312 females working, 19 of these number of people are actually managers. All right, so that's what it simply says. So it's telling me that 19 females are actually managers, which answers this particular question: are women underrepresented in managerial roles? Okay, and so are women underrepresented in managerial? Would you say out of 312 females, only 19 are in managerial positions, being as them being underrepresented? So that depends on you, the individual. All right, you might say yes, this simply means they are being underrepresented, or no, that is fine. It depends on you, because I highly do not think all these females, all 312, should be in managerial positions. All right. And so I don't know if this means they are being underrepresented. We've not seen the females. This is the data that we are being given. For all you know, the company has a lot of females in the junior level. All right. A lot of them might be right after university. They might be university graduates. All right. And flooding up that particular company, and we cannot just stand up and then give those people managerial roles. However, if they are old people and we are still just seeing 19 of them being managers, then that is a problem. All right. So we are going to continue and see if our data set will allow us to dig deeper and to find results like that. And so now that we have this, okay, now that we have this, what I simply did was that I simply clicked on this, and then for females managers, I put this in there. So now we are saying that this is a total females, and this 19 are female managers, but these are the females only section. Only these are managers. All right, and so that's what we simply did. And so I can just come right here, and for that particular slicer, I'm going to go and select female managers. All right, and then here I'm going to change the color and make it white. And so that is that with the question. So this entire board is for females, and only 19 of them are managers. All right. So that was quick, simple. It helps you to keep a lot of space. All right. You don't end up using a whole lot of space. All right. And so the question 5 says, are certain job titles more dominated by one gender? Okay, so are certain job titles more dominated by one gender? So in view of this, we are going to have the job titles, all right, and then we are going to have them distributed among males and females, and then we are going to see if for one job title males are more than females or females are more than males. All right, and so with this particular one, because it's going to take so much space, we are going to just highlight this and then hold on for now. Okay, so we are going to hold on for now with that particular one. And then let's move on to question 6. So we'll come back to question 5. All right. We'll solve that because it will take a whole lot of space. We have to solve that in a different sheet. Okay. So the question 6 is, what is the average salary for males versus females? So they want to find out what the average salary is for males and females. All right. So let's see if we can try that. All right. Let's see if we can answer that. So let's go right in. Okay. So we are going to do that. So we are looking for, excuse me. So in this particular regard, we are looking for the average salary. All right. And this is so that means you need to have gotten your average salary. So how do you find the average salary? So this is how to find the average salary. So your average salary is average and then your annual salary, because you have a column called annual salary. Okay, and so the average and then by the annual salary will give you your average salary. And so this is how we found the average salary. Okay, so it says average salary by what? By gender. Sure, what is the average salary for males versus females? So for males versus females, that means by gender. Okay, so you have your average salary by the gender, and so this is it. So on average, so let's format this and then see if we can make sense out of this. All right, so because I have just a similar thing, I'm just going to format paint and I'm going to paint it. And so I think this should be it, and now we can bring this right here. All right, and let's stretch this down a little bit, and then this is that. All right, so we can see that with average salary, the males are actually dominating because they're having a lot more than what the females are taking as salary on the average. All right, where the average salary for a male is around 73,000, that of for females around $66,000 of Ghana cedis. All right, and so yes, this is the average salary by gender as is requested in the question. All right, so what is the average salary for male versus female? So that is what we just shown. All right, and now the question 7 is saying, is there a gender pay gap within the same job title? All right, so is there a gender pay gap within the same job title? Now this might also take a significant amount of space, so we are going to hold on with that for now at least. All right, we are going to hold on for that on that for now at least. All right, so now the question is what percentage of managers are female versus male? Okay, so what percentage of of managers are actually females versus males? All right, so we can just go in there and see how we can get this. All right, so let's jump right in. All right, so with that, we are going to have to create. So now we have the total number of females who are managers. All right, so this is the total number of females who are managers. All right, and so we are going to have to create another measure for males who are managers. And so for that, I created male managers. All right, so this is it. So this is the total male managers, and we can easily just add that also to this. All right, so let me just go in and add the male managers to that. Okay, and we can just go in here, and for the slicer you can just say male managers, and we want this to be white. I want this to be white. All right, and so we have this for males who are managers. All right, and this entire one are those who are not managers. Okay. All right, so in having this, what we can simply do now is that now we can go in and pick the female managers. So for this as well, since I don't want to complicate things, I'll be taking this out. All right, so that we have only male managers. But for the question that we are yet to solve, which is what percentage of managers are female versus males, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select females. All right, female managers, and I'm going to select male managers, and again I'm going to be using the donut chart to illustrate this. All right, so I'm going to bring this right up here, and I'm just going to format paint this. All right, with this. Okay, and so this will simply answer the question, tell you that for female managers, around 20.88%, all right, are managers, whereas for males we have 79.12% of them who are managers. All right, and so the question to answer what percentage of managers are female versus males is simply out of the out of the 100%, 20 of them, 20.88% of the females are actually managers, whereas for the males 79.12% are females. All right, okay, so now that we have this, we can just do our formatting. Okay, we can just simply go in here, and we are just going to do our formatting. So for male managers, I'll probably just use this, all right, because that's a bigger size. And for female managers, we are just going to go in there and we are going to use a white. All right, and so this is that, and I think we can stretch it out a little bit. Okay, we can stretch it out a little bit, so this should do, right? Okay, so now that we have that, we can move on to the next question. Okay, so now we've answered what percentage of males and females are manager. We've answered that. All right, so question 9 is, do males or females receive higher performance rating? So now we are looking at the performance ratings. All right, we are looking at the performance ratings, and for the performance ratings, what I did was that because initially the data set, all right, had performance. So let me go in right there and show you. So this is the data set. So let's look at the performance. I intentionally didn't delete that or take that out. So the performance, okay, this is different. So the performance ratings, we have exceeds, fully made, needs improvement, PIP. All right, so we didn't really do much for this, so we are going to go in there and then answer the question. So what's the question again? The question says, do males or females receive higher performance ratings? So we are looking at gender by performance ratings, and then maybe putting a little bit of total employees. All right, and so let's go in right there and tackle that. All right, and so to answer this particular question, let me just check the question again. Say, so what is the distribution of employees? No, so do males or females receive higher performance rating? So we are looking at higher performance rating. All right, so we are going to first go and then get our performance ratings. All right, so where is our performance? So we are going to go in and get our performance ratings, and then since we are looking at males and females, that means we are looking at gender. All right, and then we are going to come down here and we are looking at the total employees. All right, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be using this to illustrate this. Okay, and because we already have a copy, we're going to select this and like so. All right, and now we can just stretch it out to illustrate this and to show this. Okay, so now we have the total employee by performance and gender. All right, so for fully meet per employees, we can see that 248 of the females have met their performance status, all right, or their performance status is at fully meet, all right, and then out of the same people, 300 of males, their performance status is at fully meet. Now this amount of people, 34 females, they exceeded their performance target, whereas 53 of males exceeded their performance target. And when we come to those that needs improvement, we can see that 21 of females, their performance actually needs some improvement, whereas 16 total males performance actually also needs improvement. And then with the PIP or the PAPE, we can see that only 9 females are at this level, all right, whereas 13 males are also at this level. And so this is how this question is answered. All right, so the males or females receive higher performance ratings. And so in total, what I'm going to say is I'm going to say probably males actually receive higher performance ratings as compared to females. All right, so the males meet higher performance rating as compared to females based on this data set that we have. All right, and so now that we've answered this question as well, now we are moving to the question 10, which is what is the distribution of employee satisfaction by gender, department, and branch? Now this might also take a while, so I'm going to highlight this, right? All right, and hold on for now. Okay, so question 11 is there a relationship between satisfaction and salary? Is there any relationship between satisfaction and salary? And so with satisfaction level, that is what I wanted to show earlier. With satisfaction level, if you come here, all right, the satisfaction level were in numerics. All right, so this the employee satisfaction. This is how you are going to see it in your data set. All right, when you download the data from the raw data. All right, and so what I did is that I used what we call the conditional formatting to change that from 1 to 5 to this. So I have extremely unsatisfied, neutral, satisfied, unsatisfied, and very satisfied. And I did this using conditional format. You can also use the if function to group that particular column, all right, into this. Okay, so let's jump right in and solve that question. Now to correct myself, I think I made a mistake. So I didn't do this with conditional formatting. I did it with conditional columns. All right. So what I meant to say was using conditional columns. You can also use the if function to do this, but I use what we call the conditional columns. Now with conditional columns, you can actually find this in the initial stages when you are doing your data cleaning and transformation. All right. Where you go to transform, and then up there you are going to see one opportunity conditional column. All right. You're going to see one conditional column up there. And then you can use that. It works in the same way as the if function. All right, and so that's how I did, and then I arrived at this particular result. Okay, all right, so now let's go right in. So now that I have my employee satisfaction instead of the one, so what that simply means, okay, so what this simply means is that if it was supposed to be 1, then it's extremely, that person is, or that record is extremely unsatisfied. If it's 2, then the person is unsatisfied. If it's 3, then it's neutral. If it's 4, then satisfied. If it's 5, then very satisfied. Okay, so that's how it looks like. And so if I come here, you can see right the employee satisfaction. So this is how you are going to see. So 1 simply means extremely unsatisfied. 2 unsatisfied. 3 neutral. 4 satisfied. And 5 very satisfied. All right. So it's as simple as that. So if you know how to use a conditional formatting, that's what I use, and that's how I did it. And like I said, you can also use the if function as well. It really doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to come to M satisfaction. So I'm going to take this right here. Okay, and what are we looking at? We are looking at satisfaction and salary. All right, so satisfaction and salary, that means we are looking at this by the salary, so the sum of salary, so total salary. All right, so by this. Okay, and we are going to do this using this. All right, and so this is simply telling us that for those people whose satisfaction level is neutral, they are actually the people receiving the highest total salary overall. All right, and people receiving the most salary after the neutral people are actually those that are very unsatisfied, which is very rare. Whereas the third one, those are the very satisfied ones. All right, so very satisfied ones. So that looks a bit okay, but I'm so surprised why these neutral people, okay, that means they are neither happy nor sad. They are neither satisfied nor unsatisfied. Are the ones receiving the highest salary, and we have to, be thinking about this. I'm not entirely sure why this is happening. So management can look at this and try to figure out what is actually happening. And then the very satisfied people are also receiving really high salary. So of course, if you're receiving really high salary, you are going to be very happy. Yeah, and then sure. So now we have the satisfied people coming close second. The unsatisfied people, of course, we are receiving the least amount of salary because unsatisfied because the salary is so mediocre compared to these ones, and then extremely unsatisfied. All right, and so with this and this, what we can say is that probably they are not receiving the salary that they're expecting. All right, they are leaving because they are being underpaid. All right, and so that's why they are leaving. But I'm still trying to figure out why the neutral people, those who are neither satisfied nor unsatisfied, actually receiving the most salary as compared to the very satisfied people and the satisfied people. But that is an analysis for another day. So what we are going to do, we are just going to go in here and format this. Now I think I can use this particular format style, all right, for this as well. So let's see. All right, sure. So now all we need to do is to go in there, and then for the bars we are going to change the bar color, right, all of them to this, and that should work. And then for the data labels right over here, we are going to have to change the colors for them as well, the values color. So we are going to change that from that black, and then we are just going to make the this color. All right, so this makes sense. All right, so now we are done solving this question as well. So is there a relationship between satisfaction and salary? So indeed, there's a relationship between satisfaction and salary, especially when it comes to the lower, the satisfied and extremely unsatisfied categorized people. All right, you can see that because they are unsatisfied because probably the salary that they are receiving is mediocre compared to the rest. All right, but I'm still not entirely sure why these neutral people are actually topping with the most salary. That is what I really don't understand. But there's obviously a relationship between satisfaction and salary. You can actually see that right there. And so the question 12 is, are younger or older employees more satisfied? So are younger or older employees more satisfied? And so if we come here to look at our data, set, we only have, or what you'll be having is the employee age, all right? And so in this particular case, what I did is that I also use what we call the conditional column, all right, to create a new column, all right, for the age bracket, and then I group the ages, all right, from adult to pensioner to approaching pension, all right. So again, I use the conditional column to group the ages, this section, all right, into that. And so if you don't know how to do that, you can, and you also know how to use the if function. You can either use the if function, or if you know how to use the conditional column, you can just use the conditional column, all right, to do that. There's going to be a video on data cleaning that I'll be uploading right before this video goes live, and in that particular video I did a whole lot of data cleaning using conditional column, so you should be able to check that out. And then if you haven't checked that out already, because I'm pretty sure it will be out before this particular video, so you can just go check that out and see how conditional columns work, all right, so that when you come here you will be able to have an easier time, all right. And so yes, let's continue. And so we are going to be solving that particular question. So the question says, are younger or older employees more satisfied? So let's go in there and work things out. So because I've already created a new column, all right, for age bracket, I'm going to go in there and select my age bracket. So this is the age bracket that I've created, all right. And now what are we looking for? We are looking for satisfaction, okay. We are looking for satisfaction. So I have this, and I'm going to go right down here and select the satisfaction that I've created, all right. Remember, I've created a satisfaction, employee satisfaction. That's what we use for this, all right. So I'm going to pick this employee satisfaction, and now we are looking at the total number, okay. But the question says, are younger or older employees more satisfied? So we are looking at the total number of people who are satisfied based on the age bracket and across the satisfaction, the employee satisfaction, column or category, okay. And so once I have this, I'm going to go look for my total employees, and I have this, and let's put this in a matrix, all right. So now I just have this. So this is what we have, all right. So we have extremely unsatisfied, neutral, and satisfied, okay. I'm pretty sure I need to close this a little bit. Can I close it a little bit without it worrying? Okay. All right. So let's see if we can close this also a little bit. All right. So we leave it like that, and then we can just screw. All right. Okay. So this is it. So for, excuse me. All right. So for the age brackets, all right, we can see that those approaching pension, okay, the extremely unsatisfied rate is really low. You can only see the pensioners and the young adults under extremely unsatisfied category, all right. So the pensioners and the young adults are mostly extremely unsatisfied. However, when it comes to those who are pretty neutral, what we can see is that the pensioners are more neutral as against the young adults and then the approaching pensioners, all right. They are neither satisfied nor unsatisfied, so they are not really bothered, all right. And then for satisfied, we can say that the young adults for some reason are more satisfied, all right, compared to approaching pensioners and the pensioners themselves, all right. Then satisfied, so unsatisfied, we have approaching pensioners being pretty unsatisfied. Why is it that now they are beginning to pay them less because the company is assuming that they are about to go, all right? They are also about to go like just the pensioners, or is something the problem here, all right? We can only say that with unsatisfied, young adults are also pretty unsatisfied, and I'm wondering why. So very satisfied, all right. We have the approaching pensioners being very satisfied as compared to the young adults and then the pensioners. And so this just allows something that you can use to communicate to management, all right. And so we can just go in there and start formatting our work. Okay, so I'm going to go bold header. Okay, then the grade, I'm going to leave the grade, the values bold. All right, so value bold, items in there, I'll leave it as white. Should we leave it as black and white? Nah. So I'm going to change this to this, and I'm going to make this black, and I'm going to change this to this. All right, and then I'm going to make that black. Good. So this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And now we can just close this, and then the column headers, these headers, all right. Now let's do some magic with them as well. So I'm going to make this bold, all right, and I think we'll just leave them as they are. Maybe put them in the middle a little bit, but I'm just going to leave them as they are for now. Okay, that makes sense. And then we are going to come down to the row headers, which are these ones. Okay, so the row headers, we change the color for the row headers to this, what we've been using. And then for the background, this is not entirely black, so we want to make it black, so like so. All right, okay, and then we are going to leave that also as it is. All right, so now we're going to come down, and we don't want any column total, we don't want any row total. All right, so now let's increase this, let's decrease this, excuse me, so like so. Okay, so this makes sense. And now we can just come here, and with the effect, we can turn the effects off. All right, and so yeah, so we've answered this question. So the question which is asking for which are younger or older employees more satisfied, we can just see it here and say, looking at this, let's look at the satisfaction rate. So we can say that those approaching pension, all right, that means when we say those approaching pension, that is around 45 to 60 years. So the approaching pension, all right, so that was the this thing, the condition that I give it. So around 45 to 60 years, those people are more satisfied as compared to those above 60 or those below 45. All right, so no, so it shows that the young adults are actually more satisfied with 86, with a total of 86 of them, topping this particular column. So young adults, we have 86 of them being very satisfied, all right, as opposed to those operating pension and the pensioners. So the young adults are actually very satisfied with the company. Okay, but then let's look at the very satisfied. So this is for the satisfied, but for the very satisfied, those who are very satisfied, we can see that those approaching pension 45 to 60 are more happier as compared to the rest. All right, so yes, this is what that means, and we're moving on to the next question. All right, so what is the next question? The next question says, which gender has higher turnover pattern? So which gender, males or females, has a higher turnover pattern? All right, and so with this, what we have to do is that now we have to look for the turnover, all right, the churn rate. All right, we need to calculate for the churn, because if you don't calculate for the churn or the turnover, then you won't be able to answer this question. And so this is how I calculated. So I have my churn employee measure here. All right, so this is it. So you can see it right there. So 102 churn. All right, and then now that we have this, you can now split that into genders. But how did I really get this? So this was the measure that I used. So I said churn employee. So we are calculating total employees, and then the filter is this, and then the status. All right, and so if you go into the status column, all right, if you go into the status column over here in our data set, so the status column, we have active, which means they haven't churned, that means they are still in the company. We have HR termination, which is a form of churn. We have order, which might also be a sort of churn. But so in this case, we said the order means the people have also churned, and then we have resignation, which is also churn. All right, and so all of these have churned except for the active. Okay, and so what I use for the formula is that, so churn, I said, all right, so we are calculating the total employees, all right, and then if the status is not active, all right, so this is how you write it's not active or it's not equal to active, all right. And so if we are only looking for those people who have not chan, we say equal to active, but because we are looking for those who have chan, we don't want those who are active, we say if the status is not equal to, all right, it's not equal to or it's not active, all right. So this is the measure, how you write the measure, all right, for that. Okay, so we have this right here, all right, and we have gender right there, all right. So this is telling us that more females happen to chan than males, all right. So more females happen to chan as compared to males. And so now that we have this, we can simply just go in here because it's a similar thing, go to format painter, then format this, and then voila, we are good to go. So we've solved this question as well, all right. So we can just bring this right there, bring it right there, and we are done with this question as well. And so in view of this, we are going to say that which gender has a higher turnover pattern. So looking at this, based on this, we are going to say the females have a higher turnover chan rate as opposed to the males, all right. And so that is what this question seems to solve. We solved it. So the question 14 is saying a high performance or highly paid employees leaving, and then the question 15 says does turnover vary significantly by branch or by department. So this and this are the only two left, and we'll probably be doing that in the next page, all right. And so, all right, so now I think there's one more. So a high performing or highly paid employees leaving. So a high performing or highly paid employees leaving. Does turnover vary significantly by branch? All right, so let's see. Okay, so I like to go back and see we need to cover that space. So let's solve question 15. So does turnover vary significantly by branch or department? Since we've already worked on turnover or chan, let's just work on that. All right. So question 15, does turnover vary significantly by branch or department? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, so turnover, so chan employee by department and branch, right? So department and branch, right? And we are going to be using the matrix to solve this. Okay, so this is it. So since we are using the matrix, we can just use the format for this, all right, just to save time. All right, and then let me just take the spaces out, just take the columns out, this and like so. And now we can do is that we can push this a little bit, and we sure as hell can push this a little bit. Minute. Now, up. So, all right. So we can push this a little bit. So this enough too much space, and then now we can just drag this. Oh, come on. All right. Drag it a little bit, and then now we are done. Okay. And so we can simply just look at this and say, all right, let me bring this down. Try to bring this down a little. Don't worry, it's nothing big. Okay. And so for this, we can also bring this down a little bit. All right, so that we can stretch this out a little more and stretch this out a little more. So that was the plan. Okay. And so this is simply increase this. All right, take it back up. So this is simply, so in the IT department, all right, this is a chan rate. So in the IT department for this particular branch, all right, we only have just one chan rate. Okay, by production we have 28 chan rates, all right, or turnovers. And then in this second branch, which is Lima, in the IT or IS department, we have 6 people chanting or 6 people leaving for whatever reason. In production, we have 34 people in this branch leaving for whatever reason. That is too high, and so the management needs to make a check on this particular branch, why this is happening. Because if you look at the sales department as well, someone also left in the sales department. In Z management, they also have one person leaving the Z management, which is a problem, I mean, for a company. So if I were the company, I would advise the company to look at this particular branch, whatever that is going on that is making people chan a lot, all right, and so that we can help cap that before it escalates. Okay, and then when we look at this multi-video how do you call it, multi-video branch, you can see that for IT and IS 7 people have churned. Production, we have 18 people churning. So it simply means that actually multi-video, a lot of people are really deciding to stay in the production, assuming the numbers are the same across, all right, the total employees are the same across, all right. And so this is it for question 15. All right, does turnover vary significantly by branch or department? So this turnover is varying significantly, especially in this particular branch, all right, and by the various departments. Okay, because in Zim management is the only branch with someone turning over or leaving, resigning, churning out, all right. But in sales is a bit surprising that multi-video is also losing a lot of people in the sales department, all right. However, when it comes to the production department, Lima is leaving just so much people that is frightening, okay, as well as in the IT and IS department. Even though multi-video is also high over there, I think the branch that is actually having to suffer the most turnover is Lima, and so we can look at that and work out something, all right. So once this is done, because we are looking at gender equality, I needed to create a slicer for gender, all right. So I created a small slicer for gender, all right, just so if you want to know details by females and details by males, you can just simply click on that, all right, and then find that. And so I did this and I put this right here. It's not enough to just answer the questions, all right, it's enough to make the work easier, okay. And so I did this right here, and so we can go in there and format this, all right. So slicer settings, that is fine, multi, this is fine, all right. So I think this is fine, so this is fine. So just two, but I don't want for the gaps. So for gaps, I'm going to close the gaps from 8 all the way to 0, or 0 or 1 is fine, okay. Let's just say 1 is fine, all right. And then this, so the callout, we are going to format the callout, and the value, I'm going to come here, increase this, and I'm going to say, all right, you know what, I want the values to be this, okay, and I want everything aligned in the middle, okay. All right, so we are done with this, all right. And then for the buttons, we are going to come to the buttons and remove all backgrounds and anything, all right. Then now let's go back and remove this and remove the effects, all right, so that now we have just this, okay. All right, so we have that, and I have my females. If I want details for females, I can just look at that and see that right there. If I don't want it for females, I want for males, I can just use the slices to indicate that as well, all right. Okay, and now our cars, we can just go in and fill in our KPIs. So what are the most important KPIs? So now we've created a whole lot of measures, a whole lot of KPIs, but we know some of them are really important. So like the total sales, right, the total compensation, the total bonus, and total employee, all right. So these are the most important ones. We can probably throw in average salary, but it depends if there's still space, okay. And now we are going to go in right here, and I'm just going to say, all right, so multi-row, I'm going to make this 5, that is fine. And the gap, all right, for gap, I'm going to close the gap entirely, and let's turn off the background. Now, hold on, so like so, all right, and then that should be fine. And then for the cast itself, so this is just formatting, all right. We don't want any borders, we don't want any dividers, we don't want any background, but we want accent bar, kind of, right. So with the accent bar, I think we like a little bit of accent bar from the left, and we want this color, and like so, all right. And so now that we have that, we can now simply come here as well and turn this all off, okay. So that we can now come here, I'm going to say, all right, like so. So there's a mistake with the call out values, all right. So the call out values, need to do a little bit of formatting on this. So the value color, we are going to make this like so. We are going to reduce this to 15, okay, to 15, excuse me. And then we want it in the middle, and then for the labels, all right. So this is just formatting, all right. It's formatting, so like so, and then let's make this white. All right, and now we can come right over here, and we can stretch this here, try putting this in the middle, right, so that it looks good. All right, so this looks good. So voila, so now we are done with our first page, all right, for this project. Wow, this was so much work, trust me. I know if you are having tough time, trust me, I know what you are going through. This project was so heavy, all right, on the measures and everything was needed to be thought of thoroughly, okay. And so I understand if you are going through a whole lot of problem, but just take your time and follow the guide, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to understand, okay. If there's any question or anything that you didn't quite get, you can also leave that in the comment section down below, and then I'll look at it, and if I need to make a separate video on that, I'll be sure to do that and leave the link for you, okay. All right, so before we move on to the next page, all right, and then wrap things up on this, I just want to say, hey, if you haven't subscribed yet up to this point after following, do be sure to leave a like. Do be sure to hit on the subscribe button, excuse me, and also don't forget to like the video if you are liking it, of course, alright, and hit on the notification bell so when I upload a new video like this, you'll be the first to be notified, alright. Now without much ado, let's jump right back in. So this is the second page, and on this page we are going to be tackling the remaining 4 questions, alright. We are going to be tackling the remaining 4 questions. So we are going to start from question 5 all the way down to question 14, alright. And so if you are ready, let's jump right in. Alright, so following up on this, the question 5 is asking us, are certain job titles more dominated by one gender? Alright, so we want to know the distribution by job titles. Alright, males and females, are males dominating females in some particular job titles, or are females dominating males in some particular job titles? Alright, and so we are going to be looking at the total employees across the job titles, all right, by gender, okay. And so that is what we'll be doing. So let's go in right here, and I'm going to say, all right, so first of all, I'm going to be looking at my total employees, all right, my total number of employees, okay. And then we are looking at job title, all right, we are looking mainly at the job title. So job title by this, and then we are splitting them by gender, okay. And with this, I'm going to be using the matrix to answer this, okay. All right, so let's bring this down. This down here, okay. So we have it here, over here like so, and we have it like this, all right. So that we are going to say, all right, so for production technicians, 146 females are in these, actually in this or have this job title. We are 248 males have this job title, all right. And then for production technician 2, this amount of people, this total number of females have this title, whereas this total number of people have the title, all right, and then so on and so forth, okay. And so this is just simply it, all right. So anyone that takes the data is able to tell, all right, that for some particular jobs. And what we can also do is that we can just simply, just sort out by okay, so you can just sort by the total employees in descending order, okay. All right, so it's already sorted out for us. And so what we can just go is that we can just go in and then do a little bit of formatting, okay. So for this, I'm just going to say bold header, like so, and we are just going to go to values. My door, excuse me, that's my door, forgive me for that. And then we are going to say this, all right. But the background, we want the background to be black, okay. And then we want this to be white, and we want the background to be black, like so. And so we have this, all right. And we can decide to take the, so let's work on the column headers for now, okay. So for the column headers, we have this like so, and the text color I like to use this, okay. And the background I like to use this, and I like to align it to the middle, all right. Now you are free to do it however way you want, that depends on you mainly, but this project, this is how I want to do it, all right. I believe this makes sense, okay. So like so, that is fine. Then now I'm going to remove this, I'm going to remove that, all right. Then I'm just going to stretch this out a little bit to the far side, okay. And now that I'm done with that, or once I'm done with that, I'm going to remove this, and that should be fine. So I'm going to come here, and for my column, my row column, right, So my row header column, for the background, I want to make it black. This doesn't look like black, so this is black. And so voila, we are done with this. All right, so I think this is making it quite difficult. So like so. All right, so now we are done with question 5. Are certain job titles more dominated by one gender? All right, so we can just come here and say that, all right, so looking at this, we see that not entirely, except for network engineer, which is highly dominated by females, all right, because there are 10 females and there are 2 males in this particular job title, this particular job title. Now we come here to share service managers. We can also see that the males are dominating. There are no females with that particular title. All right, and so it goes on like that. And so you can see, yeah, of course, there are some titles that only males have positions in, whereas females do not have. So like BI director, CIO, director of sales, IT manager infra, IT manager support, president and CEO, software engineering, director of operations. So these items, all right, are dominated by the males, with no females having any chance in them, all right, or having any positions in them. Okay, so we can look at this and give management this report that for this particular job titles, they are highly dominated by males. All right, even though there are just 3 people in there, in there 2 people in there, but they are still dominated by the males because there are no females with these kind of positions. All right, and so we can just communicate this to management, and especially this with the shared service manager, which is highly dominated by males. All right, with 6 of them being in that position and no one from the female side. Okay, but when it comes to network engineering, the females also dominate this by quite a margin. Okay, all right, and so we can just explain this to management, and then with once like this, and then this, I don't know if management will consider that as being highly dominated job titles by the males, all right, or by the females, whichever one. And so that is that for that. So we can go in right there, and since we are done with question 5, we can just scrap this, take this out. And so the question 7 is saying, is there a gender pay gap within the same job or title? Okay, so is there a gender pay gap within the same job or title? Okay, so we are going to go in right there and see if we can make sense out of this. So let's jump right in. All right, so by pay gap, we are simply looking at the annual salary. All right, so annual salary by production technician, the males and females, are they receiving the same amount, or or is there a pay gap between them? All right, and so that's what we are simply looking at. Okay, and so I'm going to come to my annual salary, all right, or my total salary. Okay, and then just like what we just did, we are going to go to job title. Okay, so this is job title, all right, and then we are going to select gender and a matrix, like so. So it's as simple as this, so that we can say that, all right, so for production technicians, the males are receiving this amount and the females are receiving this amount, and then like so, like so, like so. Okay, and so because we've already done a similar thing, we can just come here, format paint, and do the same thing over here. Now we're just going to come here, format paint this, and I'm going to do that right here. Oh, come on, why is it not working? So like so, because it's so much work to do all of that again. So if we can just a minute, this is a lazy way of doing things, but that is fine, right? The lazy way of doing things, but that is absolutely fine. And then format paint, and all right, so now we've gotten that out of the way, and we are good to go. Good. So now that we have this, we can just simply drag this. All right, simply drag this right here because it's so much. All right, don't worry about what you can see. We'll be taking that out. That is just a total. Okay, we'll be taking that out. So once we have this, we can just simply go here, and I'm just going to remove the totals. So like so, like so. All right, so this is the question. All right, and we can just add some borders to this. All right, just to separate it from the next ones. All right, so this is the second question. So we are going to go to effect, and we are going to go to visual border, and like so, we are going to make this and increase this a little bit so that you can see. All right, so this is it, and that solves the question. Oh, please, the question 10, which is what is the distribution of that solves the question 7 of is there a gender pay gap within the same job or title? All right, so if you look at production technician, is there a gender pay gap? All right, looks like, but it's not really much. What about production technician too? Not really much. It's fine. Production manager, about 1 million, which is quite an amount, and the administrative assistant, there's yeah, this this is about 500,000. Okay, and the area sales, so now it's getting big, and this is quite small, so I wouldn't say about 300,000. I don't know if you consider that a gender pay gap, all right? But one like this, database administrator, okay, this is a 300,000, so it's fine, and then this, so not really, but some actually, still stands out. All right. So we can show this to management, and management can decide on what to do. All right. Whether to increase the salary of the females, all right, to actually match the males by a significant margin, or increase the salary of the males in some job titles to meet that of the females by significant margin. All right. So management can look at that and decide on what they want to do. All right. It's in their hands. All right. And so we can just provide the data to them and advise them on what is actually happening, all right? And then they will take action on that. And so that is that. And so we move on to the next question. So now that we are done with question 7, we can simply just go in here, clear this. Now question 10 says, what is the distribution of employee satisfaction by gender, department, and branch? So we are going in to answer question 10, all right? And so if you are ready, let's jump right in. So question 10. Okay, so for the employee satisfaction, all right, distribution of employee satisfaction by gender, department, and branch. Once again, so we are looking for employee satisfaction. That's the first thing we are looking for. All right. So this is employee satisfaction, and then we are going to have to base them on gender, and then the department, and then the branch. All right. But we are looking for the total number of people, okay, or the total number of employees. So once we have that, now we can just use a matrix to indicate this. Okay, as simple as that. So for employee satisfaction, those under extremely unsatisfied, we have 2 females, we have 3 males. All right, and under extremely unsatisfied, we can say that the 3 males all come from production, the production department. Okay, they all come from the production department. Okay, and under this particular branch, all right, which is Buenos Aires. Okay, so that is that for that. And then we can also say that, all right, so for the sales, we also see that 2 females from the sales department are also extremely unsatisfied. Which branch are we looking at? We are looking at the multi-video branch. All right, so 2 females from the sales department are really unsatisfied. So what is the reason? Why are they unsatisfied? And so we can look at that and see how to answer that. All right, and then under those very satisfied, we can see that under administration, okay, under administration, we can see that people from Buenos Aires, all right, people from Buenos Aires and Lima, all right, are quite satisfied, all right, with Buenos Aires having 3 females from them being very, very, very satisfied with whatever that is going on in the work, and also 3 males being extremely satisfied with whatever that's going on in the work. However, when it comes to Lima, we have only 2 people from the females who are extremely satisfied in the administration department. All right, whereas for the males, we have 6 of them from the administration department under this particular branch, Lima, who are also very satisfied. All right, and so this is just how to find out or to answer this question. All right, so how many people are satisfied, extremely unsatisfied, and very satisfied, neutral, and unsatisfied, all right, by the department of each branch. All right, so that is what we've just simply done. So easy. There's really nothing too difficult here. So what I would like to do is that for some reason, so I have gender, but for some reason maybe we can just swap this to this and then bring department down here. Let me see. You can actually swap that depending on what you want. All right, like so, so I think I prefer it this way. Okay, I think I prefer it this way. It's still the same thing. So I'm extremely unsatisfied. All right, we don't have anyone under administration or IT. They are all from production. Okay, and then under production, the total males, all right, who are extremely unsatisfied under production is 0, but for males we have 3 people from underproduction who are extremely unsatisfied. Okay, and then we can just simply go and say these 3 people are from the same branch, Buenos Aires. Okay, so that makes it really simple if you ask me. And we can just go ahead and pick this format painter, do the same for this, and we are good to go. All right, so from here it's just the same thing. It's not really anything difficult. As long as you understand the question, I think we are good to go. Okay, and so that is that for question 10. Oh please, so let me just shift this a little bit. All right, to okay, so that is that for the question 10. Now let me see. So what is the distribution of employees satisfaction by gender, department, and branch? So that is what we just looked at. So once after you are done, you can just try to understand the answer that we've provided a little bit, all right, to get a hang of it. You just need to copy, but try to understand. That is why I tend to explain it just a little bit for you to get an idea, all right, so that once you go back to the drawing board, you are able to say, all right, so this was said, this was said, this was said, that's why we have this, that's why we have, that's why we have that, all right, and that makes life simple for all of us. Okay, all right, so the last question, so we are not just putting visuals together, we are answering questions, we are answering business questions, all right, and that is why I want to say it again, that if you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, all right, because there's so much more to come and there's so much that you're going to learn from this channel. Okay, and so without much ado, let's move on. And so the question 40 is saying, are high performing or highly paid employees leaving? Okay, so are highly paid employees leaving? So that's what we are going to be doing. So a highly paid employees, so again we are looking at the annual salary, and in this case we are looking at employees. Okay, and so to begin this, I remember doing something something over here. Yeah, so we first, if you look at the actual data set, we have first name and we have last name. So I transformed it during my transformation phase, all right, and then I use what we call the merge, all right, to merge the first column and then the first name column and the second name column as one, and that is how come we have the full name column. All right, and so if you get a data set that you see first name and then second name, but you're not sure how to get a full name, it's simply because we did some transformation. We brought the first name and the second name column together so that we're able to create a full name. All right, and that's easy to make. All right, and so you can do that. If you're unable to do it, you can let me know and I'll direct you to where to get that. All right, okay, so we are going to have the full name. All right, we are going to have the full name, and right after having the full name, I'm going to have salary. All right, so we have the full name, we have the salary. Okay, now we are going to have the status. All right, because the status is going to let us know whether they are active or they've actually resigned. All right, and if they've resigned, what is the leave reason? Because if they've resigned, they need to have given a reason for their leave. All right, okay, so now that I've selected that, I'm going to go to my matrix. Okay, and we don't want all of them. We're only looking at the highest contributing. Let me see. So it says the highest performing highly paid employees. So we are just looking at the highly paid employees. All right, in this scenario we are looking at the highly paid employees, so we are not looking at all of them. We are just probably looking at the top 10 to the top 15. So let me say top 15 because there are so many. All right, so the top 15, all right, highly paid. All right, so by total salary, so the top 15. Okay, so now that I have this, I can bring this right here and we can expand it a little. Alright, so now we can expand a little to actually see. Okay, alright, so top 15, so we have it right here. Okay, so we have this, so these people are still active. So this is when we're active and the resignation. Alright, and so you can see that Givens Daniel has resigned, but what is his reason for resigning? All right, so his reason for resigning is that he's looking for a higher salary. All right, so he's looking for a higher salary. So this is the reason that he's given. There's another note provided, but I'm not sure, but his reason was a higher salary. All right, okay, so now we have that, and we can also see that this particular person, Sergio, has also resigned, and his reason was not provided, or rather unclear duties. All right, so his duties aren't that clear. Okay, so that's the reason he's giving. So you are not entirely sure. That's why he's leaving. And then this particular person, Belen, is also looking at a higher salary. So his reason for churning or leaving is because of a higher salary. Okay, And so now that we have all of this in place, we can just simply come here, go to Format Painter, do our thing, go back, and that is that. So now we have this, and we can just simply come in here and do a little bit of our formatting by removing this and by removing that. Okay, and now what we can do is now I need to stretch this out a little bit. Okay, and stretch this out a little bit as well. Okay, and yeah, so you can decide to bring this down and then give this more space. Okay, and so yes, this is all the questions solved so far. Phew, that was so tiring, like honestly. That was really tough. So we've answered all of our questions, all right? So all of our 15 questions. So the question 14 again, are high paid employees leaving? So yeah, some high paid employees are actually leaving. Like this particular person, Givens Daniel, this also Sergio is also leaving, and this particular person, Belen is also leaving. All right, because and they've given the reasons for why they are leaving. All right, Givens Daniel they say he's leaving based on a higher salary, so he needs higher salary. Alright, so let's go to the reasons and see if high salary is actually part of the reasons, alright, why people leave. Alright, and so leave reason. Okay, so a lot of them are going to be provided. And let's see. So we have unclear duties, which one of them chose, and higher salary. So yeah, his reason is valid. Okay, for say he's leaving because of higher salary. So this person given his dad is leaving because of higher salary. Alright, and yeah, and another person, Sergio is also leaving because his reason for leaving is based on unclear duties. All right, so his duties are unclear, and that is why he's leaving. Okay, even though he's among the top 15 people earning the highest salary. So let's sort this out and then actually see. Okay, let's sort it out by total salary. Okay, and let's say descending order. So by descending order, the total salaries, King 1 is actually the one receiving the highest amount. Sergio is actually the third most the third person receiving is actually one of the people receiving the highest salary, and his problem is with unclear duties, and that's why he's leaving. Wow, that is really something. Even though he's receiving so much salary, he's actually decided to go because his duties are now unclear. This is like a scenario that just happened to me some few days ago, where I work and I was laid off because my duties became unclear and I had to question what I'm actually doing. So that's really, it's really funny to see something like this happen all of a sudden. But that is fine. That is fine. All right. Yeah. So this is it. This is the entire dashboard. All right. This is the entire dashboard. Now up close, it looks really huge. You can see everything. So we started all the way from here once again. So we started all the way from here, from the bottom. Now we're up. All right, so we started all the way from here. We answered all of the questions that were provided. All right, so we've answered all 14 questions that were provided as data analysts in this company. All right, and we started from the dashboard to the KPIs to all of this. We created so many measures. It's good we didn't add the measures because that would have taken so much time. That was crazy, man. And all of that all the way to our report. Okay, and so yes, once again, if you really did enjoy this today's session, be sure to hit on the subscribe button. Look at what I'm doing. I'm killing myself for you guys. So if you really enjoyed this tutorial, do be sure to hit on the subscribe button so you can actually join the Nakama, alright? And so that if I upload a new video like this, you'll be the first to be notified. I'm here for you, and this channel is here for you, alright? To teach you everything that has to do with data analytics and the tools to power them. Now, starting next year, we are going to be looking at Seagull, okay? And so it's important that we get used to this before next year, all right? And so, yes, also be sure to hit on the like button if you really enjoy this project, all right? Be sure to hit on the like button. It helps me out a lot, all right? And leave a comment if there's something that you'd like to add or there's something that you'd like to say, all right? I'll be sure to attend to you once I see what you want to say, okay? And so, yes, like I always say, do be sure to take care of yourself, and I'll be sure to catch you right in the next one. See ya. Bye.